I am proud to say that I'm an anti-lockdown protester. I will never stand for this absolute rubbish from the government. I've been calling out the government before COVID-19. I was calling out Daniel Andrews before this whole situation. I've attended virtually every major protest, especially the most dangerous stage 4 protests. I, like many others, we've been shot at, entrapped, arrested multiple times, including with excessive force by public order response. And there's multiple people in this room right now that knows exactly how that feels. We need direct democracy in our country. It should have been us voting on that bill, not left up to one person who I dare say probably cares more about preserving his career than he does the dignity of 6.5 million Victorians. Yeah. We need direct democracy. We have our government run by people that we don't even know. This is a massive problem when you've got Labor and Liberal. Candidate can run. It could be a psychopath. You don't know. Australians just say, we're going to vote because this is the way we've voted our whole life. What I'm advocating for at the highest level possible is I want Australians to take an interest in politics. I want Australians, no matter where they are in the country, to find out who their local candidates are, whether it's independent or party affiliated. Find out about the individual. Individuals make all the difference in politics. It's individuals that can raise their hand at the right time and blow the whistle on misconduct. We're not stupid here. We understand that the odds are heavily stacked against us. But what I'm doing right now outlines a massive problem in our system, which is that independents have been shut out of running for the upper house and the Senate. It's absolute garbage. It keeps the same parties getting elected time and time again. We've had freedom rallies with about 500,000 people on the streets of Melbourne. So we're setting an example and we're going to go for it with everything that we have.
Yeah.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the live broadcast. Thank you so much for being here. We've got some great members of the independent media and freedom fighters, people that I love, that I've spent so much time with over the past 2 years. Of course, 2 years of absolute craziness. We've all been out there protesting against this absolute government madness. We've been subjected to things that we never thought we'd see before. Some of us here have been badly injured and very much violated throughout this process. So we're going to get cracking, guys. I'd like to welcome everyone to the live broadcast. You're here with me, Morgan, so welcome. Share the broadcast, share it as far and wide as you possibly can. Now, the first thing that you might be thinking is that I'm sitting here with a group of people. Some of them you may recognize, some of them you don't. These people are my absolute core team, my partners. So I'm going to give everyone just an opportunity to introduce themselves, and then I'll get cracking with the core of what we're talking about here today. So we're going to kick off with Rose.
Hi everyone, I'm Rosemary Benchard. Nice to meet you all.
All right, perfect. Yep.
I'm Monica, the founder and managing director of Reignite Democracy Australia, and also this guy's fiance. So.
Andrew Philippopoulos, Morgan's campaign manager, trusted friend and loyal supporter.
Aidan McClendon, when Morgan's having a bad day, he gives me a call and I try and put a smile on his face.
I'm Sebastian Riggio and I'm here to support and look after, be loyal to this young man who's done a lot for this country and will be heavily, I suppose, targeted. So we're here to support him. Please get on board and support him too.
Thank you. All right, guys. All right. So first of all, I'm not going to do any fluff or anything like that. I'd like to welcome everyone to the live broadcast. Now, as everyone knows, of course, I've resigned from the United Australia Party. So first of all, I just want to say that I'm very grateful to the UAP for giving me this experience. It's been one that I value very much. I've learnt a lot during my time there, and I just want to set the tone and actually say that I'm not making this broadcast in any way, shape or form to disparage the UAP or to disparage people from, I suppose, supporting this particular political party. Rather, I'm taking this opportunity to explain why Morgan, as in an individual, has chosen another path. So that's what we're about today. There's no agendas here. There's no, I'm trying to sabotage UAP. I'm not trying to do that. Let me put on record right now that I've been very fortunate to meet many UAP candidates, especially in Victoria. I can tell you there's a lot of good people there. People that have sacrificed a lot. You've got ex-medical professionals in there. People that have put their neck on the line to try to make a difference in this country. And they've got my support and also the other freedom-friendly minor parties have my support, as well as independents, as long as they stand on the side of freedom, and that's what this is. That's what this is all about. All right. So why did I resign from the party, and why are we all standing here today, and why are you listening to this broadcast? Okay. So the reason I put in my resignation is actually very similar to the reason why I joined in the first place, which may sound like a little bit of a paradox. So I joined because my very intention was to be as effective as possible in my capacity to serve the people and to instigate the type of change that I believe that our country is in desperate need of. I thought that I could be the most effective in that capacity in a big party structure, but I'm here to say that actually I was wrong. So I'm going to admit that I was wrong in that regard. Now, before I go any further, once again, let me say, and this is really important for me to emphasize, that just because UAP or another political party at this stage is not the right vehicle for me, that doesn't mean it's the wrong vehicle for other candidates. Okay, so everybody has a journey, and there's a lot of people out there that are involved in minor parties that are standing up for freedom, whereby fitting into that party structure is the best fit for them. So not disparaging anyone like that. I support them. As long as people stand for freedom and stand for reducing the size of this government and putting the government in their place and restoring rights to the people who deserve them, which is us, then I stand alongside those people. All right, so that's UAP, LDP, IMOP. I don't care. As long as you stand for freedom, that's the most important thing to me, plain and simple. And as I said before, I'm not doing this to try and sabotage anyone, let alone, of course, Craig Kelly, who's a personal friend of mine. I have a lot of respect for Craig. He left the Liberal Party because he stood up for something truthful, and I wish him the best of luck, as I do all the other candidates. All right, so that being said, I'm going to just put this in context, because of course there's been a lot of discussion. There's a lot of people out there in the freedom movement who are perhaps feeling a little bit disenfranchised. They feel like they're being pulled in one direction, pulled in another direction. They're not really sure who to support. So I understand this could have brought about some feelings of confusion, and of course it's been a very confusing 2 years. None of us ever expected that our government would go to these types of lengths to trample all over us. But hey, we're here today, we're living in unprecedented times, and this is what's happening. So ultimately, this decision to part ways, it was my decision alone. It didn't come from any sort of undue pressure or coercion or anything like that. I made this decision, I meditated on it, and where we are today is the result of a lot of self-reflection, thinking about the past 2 years. I've had many lengthy discussions with my core team here, and I've also listened very deeply to my supporter base, which I'm very grateful for. My supporter base, which has been built mostly over the past 2 years. My goal is really simple. I want to serve the people. This is what I'm here for. Now, to put in context this decision, and to put in context my next move, which I'm very blessed and fortunate to have so much support out there, I want to give a little bit of a history of what I've done over the past 2 years, maybe for people that are just haven't known me for that long or are just finding out about me. Now, I want to add that it's important for me to note that my experience over the past 2 years is not unique. So many of us have been through an absolute nightmare under this out of control, corrupt government. I certainly recognize that. We have people in this room today that have been shot at with projectiles, hospitalized, arrested for absolutely no reason. They've had their privacy invaded, their jobs lost, and the list goes on and on. But this is my experience over 2 years, just to fill in any gaps or questions that people maybe have about me. So first of all, I've been calling out the government before COVID-19. I was calling out Daniel Andrews before this whole situation, calling him out for his utterly inappropriate relationship with the Chinese Communist Party and his signing of the Belt and Road Initiative that I firmly believed at the time posed a direct threat to our sovereignty. But let's talk about COVID here. So 2020, since getting started in this debacle, I've been pretty active. You could say I've been very active. I've conducted thousands of hours of research and produced hundreds of hours of educational online content via MCJ Report. I've attended virtually every major protest, especially the most dangerous Stage 4 protests. I, like many others, we've been shot at, entrapped, arrested multiple times, including with excessive force by public order response. And there's multiple people in this room right now that knows exactly how that feels. I've been subjected to police harassment, including a direct threat to cancel my firearm license, because according to LRD, people who attend freedom rallies are potentially not of, quote, fit and proper character to hold a firearm. I've had my home raided, my work equipment seized, and by far the most painful experience for me over the past 2 years was my fiance spending 22 days in solitary confinement, accused of a supposed crime of encouraging people to stand up for their rights. That is what she was accused of, and she spent 22 days in jail advocating for us, for our rights. Now, that being said, my work in advocacy has always been grassroots, independent from the beginning. We built this freedom movement from the ground up, and I believe that it's the way in which I've conducted my work which has led to the absolute blessing that I have that has come to me, which is a loyal supporter base that I absolutely love, that I would do anything for, as I would any other Australian. This entire debacle also brought me a fiance for which I'll forever be grateful for. So I can say hand on heart, my intentions are sincere. I got involved in a political party for sincere reasons because I considered that was the best vehicle to bring about change to this country. But I've been forced to have a rethink, you could call it that, over several weeks, and I have to be honest with myself, and I've recognised, for me personally, and please understand I'm not speaking on behalf of any other candidate, any other party or anyone, but to be honest with myself, me personally, Morgan C Jonas, I've recognised that in order to maintain my individualism and my most authentic self for the purpose of best serving my Australian brothers and sisters, which is my mission in life, and that's what I've set out to do for a long time, I must preserve at all costs the independent nature of my mission, and for that reason, and that really sole reason alone, I've chosen to forego any party affiliation and to run as an independent. Okay, so I'm running as an independent. This, I consider this to...
Yeah.
All right, you can make some comments if you want. This simply is what feels right to me, and I can't speak for anyone else apart from myself. Now, as I mentioned before, just because the big party system, UAP, is not the right vehicle for me, that does not mean it's not right for other people. I've had the blessing of meeting UAP candidates. I can tell you they are mostly absolutely brilliant people with big hearts, and they are willing to work hard. They're willing to put their head on the chopping table for this country, and I want them to know that they've got my support. And every person in Australia should make an effort to find out who their local candidates are, whether it's UAP, LDP, IMOP, GAP. Find out who they are and make an informed decision. In my opinion, one of the biggest problems we have in this country is that time after time, election after election, Australians vote for individuals who they don't even know. They vote for individuals to get into office based on a party brand name, okay? So what have we been left with at the end of this when we come here in 2022? We have our government run by people that we don't even know. This is a massive problem when you've got Labor and Liberal. A candidate can run, it could be a psychopath, you don't know. Australians just say, we're going to vote because this is the way we've voted our whole life. What I'm advocating for at the highest level possible is I want Australians to take an interest in politics. I want Australians, no matter where they are in the country, to find out who their local candidates are, whether it's independent or party affiliated. Find out about the individual. Individuals make all the difference in politics. It's individuals that can raise their hand at the right time and blow the whistle on misconduct. 3 individuals that come to mind as of recent times: Gerard Rennick, Alex Antic, Craig Kelly. They raised their hand, they blew the whistle because they knew that something was very wrong and they weren't willing to get in line. We need more of that in this country. I think we need more independence running in this country. We need more accountability, and Australians need to know exactly who they're voting for to change this vicious cycle of voting psychopaths into office. All right, so that being said, where do we go from here? So I'm running as an independent. It's probably not what you think. Some people were speculating I was going to join a party. No, I'm not interested in that at this stage in my life. We're living in unprecedented times. We're living in drastic times where we are in a drastic situation here in Australia, our rights under siege and the rights of our children. As the old saying goes, drastic times calls for drastic measures. So we've developed a drastic plan. Here's what we're doing. We're going to attempt something historic, authentic, and grassroots. I'm putting my hand up to run for the Senate below the line. So what that means is this. That means no party affiliation, nobody's giving me their preferences. In my opinion, this is the hardest, most difficult, most pure and transparent way to run for office. And my message to Australia is that if you want a hardcore freedom guy in office, then I'm your guy. And in this election, you will find me on the Senate ticket below the line. All right, so yeah, it's everything okay? All right, so I don't care who calls us crazy. I don't care about anyone that says that this is impossible. I'm not the sort of person that believes in impossible. I believe in my country. I love Australia. I'm a red-blooded Australian patriot. I believe in my Australian brothers and sisters. We've had freedom rallies with about 500,000 people on the streets of Melbourne. If we want to get me, and I am proud to say that I'm an anti-lockdown protester. I will never stand for this absolute rubbish from the government. If we're working on a quota for the Senate, then to be safe, I need to get 650,000 votes. That's what happens when you're not party affiliated. That's what happens when no one's going to give you their preferences. We're going to kick this campaign off. A lot of people are going to disparage us and say that we're crazy. We're not stupid here. We understand that the odds are heavily stacked against us. But what I'm doing right now outlines a massive problem in our system, which is that independents have been shut out of running for the upper house and the Senate. It's absolute garbage. It keeps the same parties getting elected time and time again. So we're setting an example and we're going to go for it with everything that we have.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something else that you wouldn't expect to see from other independents. We're going to put a full policy schedule on our website so that you can know exactly who you are voting for if you decide to back me. I have some pointers here. This is just a brief snapshot of what is going to be uploaded. I've already written about 60 points of some very, very severe changes that I believe we need in our country. And I'm blessed and fortunate to have this incredible core team. And I can tell you, if I didn't have these people by my side, I'd be in a lot of trouble. And if I didn't have you, the public, my supporters, people that have believed in me, encouraging me, and giving me criticism when I needed to hear it, then I wouldn't be able to do this. That is plain and simple. All right, so first on the agenda, the permanent, I say, criminalization of pandemic emergency powers.
Yeah.
It should be absolutely illegal for the government to ever do to us what they have done over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Now the government will say, well, if there's a very serious pandemic, we may need these powers. You know what I say? I say, tough luck. You've exploited your powers. You've used it for political gain. That's it. We the people are taking those powers from you. That's what we must do. And alongside with the criminalisation of pandemic emergency powers, let's add into that the criminalisation of COVID-19 mandates.
Yeah.
We need a whole task force dedicated to going after people in public office and positions of power, people who have exploited their power at the expense of others, and we've seen so much destruction. Those who are responsible must be held accountable at all costs. All costs. All right, 2, we need to drastically reduce the size and scope of our government. Our government is far too big, far too controlling. The government is now involved in the lives of every single Australian. It may not be our fault that it got to this point, but it was our apathy that allowed these criminals to get elected time and time again. It's our responsibility to clean up the mess. And I tell you what, with around 2.5 million government workers in this country, I can tell you, there's a lot of people that need to be sacked. We need to roll out a top to bottom audit of every single government department in this country, stamp out the wasteful spending, stamp out the needless bureaucracies, and all public sector workers out there that are on $150,000 swiveling around on their chair every day at our expense, we got to throw them out.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about trade. I'm very passionate about Australian manufacturing. It breaks my heart to know that Australia was once one of the great manufacturing nations of the world. If you look at our economic complexity today, the state of affairs resembles that of a developing war-torn nation. Politicians have destroyed the great legacy of Australian manufacturing. So up there on our agenda, what we're advocating for is to revive Australian manufacturing and to bring an end to trade deals that damage and destroy Australian industries and businesses.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. That's all right. That's okay. Also, we must bring an end to pseudo-environmentalist policies, such as policies that prevent farmers from accessing viable water and landowners preparing for bushfires.
Yeah.
We need direct democracy in our country. So what that means, by any means necessary, taking power from this power-hungry government that has exploited every single Australian and restoring that power into the hands of the people who deserve it, which is us. And I've broken this down into 4 sections. The public should have the right to vote down bills that are not in the best interest of the Australian public. 1, such as the Pandemic Management Amendment Bill. The fate of Victoria for this time period was sealed by a guy who belongs to a party called Transport Matters. A guy who shouldn't be in Parliament in the first place. Who knows what sort of deals in terms of preferences he did. You got Rod Barton sealing the fate for 6.5 million Victorians. It should have been us voting on that bill, not left up to one person who I dare say probably cares more about preserving his career than he does the dignity of 6.5 million Victorians.
Yeah.
We need direct democracy. The public should be involved in the process of electing people to key public positions, such as governors, judges, police commissioners, and chief health officers. They should be chosen by us.
Yeah.
All right. Some of you may have heard this term before, recall elections. All right, so if a politician lies to you and gets into Parliament and does the absolute opposite of what they promised, we should have the capability to trigger another election and get that person sacked on our own terms. If we had that, Daniel Andrews would have been gone a long time ago. Believe me, these career politicians, they hate these ideas. It is their worst nightmare to relinquish power and to give that power to the people. All right, last and not least, citizen-initiated referendums. All right, great. That's all right. You can save the applause till after. So when do we clap? When do we not? All right. One that I know my mate over here, Harrison, likes. We need a Bill of Rights for Australia. I am a huge supporter of implementing aggressive measures to lessen Australia's dependence on the Chinese consumer market.
Yes.
What an absolute disgrace, what an absolute mess our politicians have created, putting such a huge bulk of our economic eggs in one basket overseas in China, a central government that abuses the rights of its own citizens, and this is who our politicians put our economic future in. What an absolute betrayal. I'm absolutely ropeable by the state of affairs in this country. Also, to withdraw Australia from unelected intergovernmental bodies that compromise Australian interests, such as the Strong Cities Network, and I'm just going to say it, we've got to get out of the World Health Organization. All right, so that's an overview of what I stand for. If you want to, as I said, if you want a hardcore freedom guy in Parliament, you'll find me below the line on the Senate ticket to the right-hand side of the page. I think this is the most transparent way to get elected, and we have some other people that would like to contribute. So, thanks for hearing me out. We've got Monica here, of course. My beautiful fiancée has some words to say. So,
Yes. So first, I want to speak from the perspective of Morgan's fiancé, not the founder of Reignite Democracy Australia. I've personally seen over the last 3 weeks how hard this decision has been on him. He hasn't taken it lightly. We've had many hours of conversations, many sleepless nights, and it was a difficult decision to make, but he made it for the right reasons. He thinks this is the way that he can stay true to his objectives and stand up tall for the Australian people no matter what. So in my opinion, Australia would be far better off if Parliament was full of independents like this guy, because people like Morgan, who will never falter on their core values, on their morals, who cannot be bought, blackmailed or coerced. He may only be one person, but he will inspire thousands of people around Australia by taking the harder road. Anyone who knows Morgan and I knows that the last 2 years have been really, really challenging. And I want to also, even though Morgan already did this, thank his loyal supporters for sticking through thick and thin with him. Now, today, I'm sure you can see that your loyalty was definitely not in vain. Morgan is you probably don't know this, but Morgan is the type of person that drops off his merchandise directly to people's doors because he wants to open the door. He wants them to open the door and see him there with his "the media is lying to you" jumper, and see that surprised smile on their faces. And those people are, such loyal fans for that. That's the sort of person that Morgan is. I can say with 100% confidence that he will always have your back, like he has had mine through all my difficult times. And he will never, ever, ever let this country down. At his own expense, he will never let us down. He used to make, you might not know this either, he used to make a lot of money in China in his younger days. But something happened and he realised that the money he was making was at the expense of his Australian brothers and sisters, so he cut all ties, again, taking the harder road, and now that is why he is so dedicated to improving the Australian economy, export and import and stuff like that. That's where that real passion comes from. Sometimes you wouldn't know this obviously either, but he paces up and down the lounge room talking about all these policies that the government are putting in place that hurts Australians. He drives around with one, maybe two Australian flags in his car, just in case he has an opportunity to whip it out and give someone a talk about Australia and how much he loves his country. He is the most patriotic person I have ever met, and I've been to a lot of protests, so he's really, really patriotic. You cannot have a better guy in Parliament. So that is why, as difficult as this mission seems, we can pull this off, and the country is going to be better off with him. I'm not finished. Now, that was the fiancé hat. Now I want to talk from RDA's perspective. So, of course, I'm the founder of Reignite Democracy Australia. Now, Morgan and I make a lot of decisions together with each other's help, and, sometimes we don't get it right. But, a person is not defined on their mistakes. They're defined on how they react to them and the effort that they go to try and make them right. So, RDA fully supports Morgan's independent Senate campaign, but we cannot do it without you. And so that's why we're going to need as many people on the ground, boots on the ground, to remind people to find Morgan below the line. See, the thing is, as Morgan alluded to, there was over 500,000 people at that Kill the Bill rally. So we don't actually need to find new voters. We just need to tell the ones that are already there to find him below the line. So what that means for you guys is talking to each other's friends, talking to other freedom-friendly people that have been to the protests, businesses, etc. That's the role that you can play in Morgan getting elected. So Morgan and I are going to be doing a Victoria-wide tour over the next 2 months. So we are going to visit every corner of Victoria and meet as many people as we can, hand out flyers, talk to people, and also, you know, help lower house independent candidates as well, and to bring the community together, educate them on how to vote, how to make their vote count. So this may seem like an impossible task, but actually it's not. So 630,000 votes, 650,000 to be safe. It's not impossible. We can make this happen. So what I would like you to do is, like us, is we're in this to win it, and we're just going to assume that we're going to get there. And so you need to do that too to help us get there. Now, I can't wait to see all of you guys in your communities on the ground. And, you know, Morgan and I are going to put our hearts and souls into this, more him, because he's going to be working very hard. And we're going to come and visit you because Morgan's slogan is Australia deserves better. And we're going to show you that Australia does deserve better, and Morgan is the person to make that happen. So. And to follow the journey and to volunteer, go to morgancjonas.com. The website isn't totally finished, but you can put in your email address there, and we'll keep in touch with you on a regular basis. I can even put it back on the screen.
Yeah, morgancjonas.com, put your name, email address in, postcode. Let's make this happen. Now, our lovely Rose, who's part of our core team, would like to say a few words.
Yes, hi. Thank you. Thanks, Morgan. I've never been interested really in politics aside from voting, when we have to, basically. But when our freedoms were taken away, I lost friends, not to illness, but, friends through caring and through not wanting to have a bar of me because my decision wasn't in line with theirs. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm concerned about children, their future. I'm concerned about Australia. I'm honoured to be working with Morgan and Monica and the team. Just absolutely honoured. Get involved, please get involved. So morgancjonas.com. What can I say? Just, be part of this huge change. Australia needs it. Future generations need it. We can't leave the mess that we have. So
that's it.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a good. Yeah, good. Go ahead. All right. Okay. Can I say I've spent 20 years in politics. I've paid my dues. However, 10 years of that was in public life. And before I say a few words, can I just say, this is the best damn press conference I've ever been to. It's so relaxed. It's real people. Of course. There's no robots telling them what to do. There's no scripting. There's no Coke bottles in the front. It's just brilliant. I love it. It's real. And that's what I think Morgan and Monica are going to resonate with people, because I'm speaking on behalf of about 20 to 30,000 teachers. I was in the education sector. I was in the bureaucracy. I can tell you now, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of teachers who still have their belongings on their desk, who were not allowed to say goodbye to their children or their colleagues. This has completely divided the country, and there will be justice seen through what Morgan and Monica are doing. And I think I'm just so excited to be a part of a movement that will grow. The Westminster system was designed to be a collective of independence. Over the course of history, political parties hijacked that. It was meant to be the competition of best ideas, and then it was put to its merit. Okay, we've seen that the political vehicles unfortunately have hijacked our political system, which is why we see so much division in our community, because we now have Dumb and Dumber running the show. But Morgan has now made an informed decision, informed consent, I believe, Morgan. Excellent. And I think what Morgan, is it the easy way to go? Absolutely not. Is it the right way to go? Absolutely. And that's why I'm on board, to make sure that every minute of my day, with my family and friends who are on board for this movement, will do as much as I can in my capacity and expertise to make sure that this vision comes to fruition. Yes, you'll be below enemy lines, but that's not a bad thing, because this is where we have to go. And I think it's also, there's one thing that strikes me with Morgan, and in the time that I've known him, and I've struck up a relationship with him, because the last 3 months I've been on the radar. I've had to be silent. I was silenced myself. My own computer was shut off. Anyway, when that 3 months was up and I said adios, I called Morgan and said, it's game on. I'm ready to rock and roll and put this to good use. and the people that I've lost in my life, as we all have here, we've all got a story to say, and I think that's what's brought us together. But I can tell you now, for every one person that I've lost, I've found 2 others that are real. And I think we've got to start looking at the positives now. We've got to start getting rid of the division. Let's come together. Yes, we're all different. We have what's called free will, believe it or not. And unfortunately, the political parties encourage you to dump it at the front door and leave your conscience at the door. That game's over now. Morgan's in town, and I can tell you what, he has more guts and more courage than the Victorian and the Federal Parliament put together. And that's why I'm behind him tonight.
Yeah. Well, I haven't got much to say because these guys are just so passionate. They've done a great job. I know that I've been meeting with these guys for a little while now, and we're on a mission. Our mission is to basically get your country back. You need to own your country. Don't let these politicians that have taken away, thefted everything that you have, right, and let them lead. You are the leaders. They are your employees. We need to get that back on track. We need to save this country for the future of our children, for the future of our businesses, for primary production, for education, for everything this country is to the rest of the world. I've been around the world all over, and I know for a fact it's a greatly respected country. It's been lost because of the ScoMos, the Daniel Andrews, and what's going on in politics. The malfeasance is enormous. We need to get rid of the corruption and start to rebuild this country. Right, my promise to you is to back this guy up, back this team up, and get your country back. You need it, you deserve it. It is for our future and our children. I can't say too much. These guys have said it all. There's not much. I'm not a speaker, I'm a strategist. I'm here to make sure that this guy is the most loyal person you will meet, and definitely the most loyal person that will be in Parliament forever. That's just, I can't say any more than that. There's not much more I can say. I need to pass it on to my great friend Andrew. Thank you so much. Make sure you follow him. Get on there, vote, and vote properly. This is a guy for your future.
Makes it a little bit harder when you go last, or the fine points have been... Look, I won't speak too long. We all know it's been a rough few years. We all know they've lied. We all know that decisions have been made which are constitutionally questionable. We all know this. Our friends know it. We've been getting up nearly every week, saying bye to our kids' families, going to a protest. We've been speaking up. We've done it at the cost of some of our jobs, some of our family, our friends, our brothers and sisters that we may not speak to. One thing we do know, and I've said this before at rallies, there are 3 questions I will never answer, or will never have to answer. And those 3 questions a lot of people in here, everyone in here will never have to answer. And I've said it before, for those that have heard it, I apologise. Question number 1, Mummy, Daddy, did you say or do anything? We won't answer that question. Question 2, when we're all in our deathbeds, I could have done this and I could have done that. We will not answer that question. And we meet our Creator, we'll get the real green tick. The other thing I want to say is, right now, our diggers are rolling in their graves. And if you think they're not, there's something wrong with you. These unelected bureaucrats have destroyed families, children's lives. I mean, these people, seriously, dodge your head at a football game. Really? Really? Dodge your head at a football game? Is this what Australia's come to? We've got a Premier who lies on the TV screen, sets up these so-called court cases where he doesn't recall anything. He's not accountable. We need Morgan, who is a man of integrity, someone who is authentic. An individual that has stood up for my children's future is a real man, not the bozos we see on the TV screen for their fame. Authenticity is what our country needs. We need it. We are going to get there. Choosing the hard way is the honourable way. And in the future, when the history books are written, we'll remember who was on the right side of the divide. Our children will remember us, and we will win. Thank you, everybody.
All right, so I'd like to thank my core team. What amazing people. I consider myself so very blessed and fortunate, and also very blessed and fortunate, of course, my loyal supporter base out there. I'm blessed and fortunate to call myself an Australian. To me, regardless of how badly these politicians have done wrong by us, we live in the greatest, most beautiful, most environmentally diverse country in the world. Our country is worth fighting for. The future belongs to us. It does not belong to them. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is against the odds. This is absolutely the hardest way to get elected, but I believe it's the most transparent, and I want to make this statement as loud as I possibly can, in that the system needs to change to allow people, say, you know, wanting to go independent, wanting to go to the upper house, to actually give them a fair go. It's corrupted the way it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get on this journey, if you want to become part of history and stand alongside us, this mission for freedom, go to morgancjonas.com. Put your details in. We're going to go around all corners everywhere in Victoria, spreading this message, spreading awareness, helping to educate our fellow Australian brothers and sisters on how to vote, how to research who your local candidates are, and most importantly, making an informed decision. Not knowing who we voted for has resulted in psychopaths in office that care nothing for this country, nothing for you, and nothing for freedom. And at the end of the day, we're all here for freedom. And I know that I speak on behalf of everyone in this room that they put us back down into stage 4 lockdown. We're on the streets tomorrow. It doesn't matter. This is our mission. This is our country. It's our time now. morgancjonas.com. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're done. Yeah.